Greetings everyone, this is Devesh Kirubhakaran.J here with another lecture session on the poem titled Prologue, written by Anne Bradstreet. So let's get started with the poem. The poem was written by the American poet Anne Bradstreet, famous in the 17th century, late 1600s, in which she describes the thirst of women for acknowledgement relating to their creative pursuits, which was an anomaly for a woman to pursue at that point of time during and after Shakespeare's time, the Elizabethan era. Contemplations for deliverance from a fever, etc., some of other famous poems. Then, the poem starts by self deprecating the nature of women, where she considers women are not capable to write about very major themes such as wars, kings, the creation of Commonwealth in Great Britain, etc., since she finds that her mean pen, with her mean knowledge, with her mean feminine nature, she cannot and she is not worthy of writing poems on such magnificent topics. Then, going on to Bartas. So she makes a reference to Bartas, a French Protestant poet, with whom she compares herself that he has a mellifluous language, has an high command over language, through which he composes poems of high quality and higher and emphasizing upon higher order things, and for which she, out of jealousy, she blames the muses, the gods, for gifting her with a very inferior talent, lesser than Bartas. And then, schoolboy's tongue. So, the poet again compares women's writing or poetry to schoolboy's tongue because she finds herself that it is similar to that of a small boy who's going to school, from whose mouth we cannot expect any rhetoric or any masterful craft work of poetry, but rather it would have its own defects like the broken instruments, the defective pieces, without any practice, which is irreparable, has become irreparable by nature, unable to be revived by art due to lack of support, negligence, and gender bias. And then moving on to another reference, Demosthenes. Demosthenes is a Greek writer who is a master, who has become a master of language after initially stuttering over speaking and writing. He overcame the impossible, made it possible, and then he mastered and he was proficient in the same, which is impossible for women due to lack of opportunities and support, the systemized segregation and subjugation, which was prevalent in the 17th century. Then, spiteful tongues. Adding upon to the misery, we see that how women were discouraged in the society not to take any creative pursuits such as writing, and they were actively forced and encouraged to just take up sewing, household duties, and even if they write a mastery, produce a skilled work, they just dismiss it as something fake or copied, or it was just by luck or mere chance. Then, Greeks. Another comparison comes on the way. The poem is full of comparisons through which she uses irony to mock the society of how they were systemically subjugated. Then I'll keep this for the end. Then Greeks. So Greeks were better. She considers Greeks to be better since they considered women to a higher stature, holding them as muses, and even the society, the English society, which considers Greeks to be the forerunners in arts, they refuse to accept this fact, who mend or make it flexible according to their own whims and fancies, where they reject it as mere falsity and something cooked up by women. Acknowledgement. So all the poet asks is some acknowledgement from the society to let the women first of all express their own selves through creative pursuits and writing, through any form of art, without any spite, any sort of a ill comment, scathing attacks, not warring against them, just allowing them to go on their own, follow their own pursuits and ambitions. The major plea, so the major plea, I'm sorry. So it's a request, not a request, an assertion in the form of a request. Again, irony. So she asks for women, the freedom of expression by women, and she accepts, though it's an attack, that it's an irony, I suppose. Yes, of course. Men that men are high flying quill, that their pens do fly across different subjects and topics, dealing with complex themes. So she further states that women are a complement for men, which advances the society, advances them, and it doesn't even regress them. So she asks for the mutual coordination between men and women, so as to make this world a better place to live in. Moving on to the conclusion, the entire poem is irony. She mocks men by stating that they refuse formal education, they systematically subjugate them, and even if they prove their worth by studying on their own, by coming up in life, pursuing their artworks, their any sort of art forms, learning on their own without any support or encouragement, they simply dismiss her. And we could see the patriarchal society, the domination of men over women in the society, where equal opportunities are denied. And it's a call for the society to embrace and include women so that we as a one human race progress and live a life memorable, which is memorable. And then significant lines from the poem. From a schoolboy's tongue, no rhetoric we expect. So yeah, the irony again. She compares the tongue of women to a schoolboy, where nothing big could be expected, but just something in an apprentice level, a trial. My obscure lines shall not so dim their worth. So she's unwilling to take up all the very massive themes, kings, war, commonwealth. It's an irony. The full poem is an irony. So don't take the meaning on its own, but simple, according to my skill. So the poet is a simple writer who doesn't engage in very prominent high-fi themes, but rather the basic ones upon which she knows. Cause nature made it so irreparable. The nature here is the society. It's implied. Made it so irreparable in the sense men are born like that. They are just simply dismissing women. A weak or wounded brain admits no cure. So she considers women's brain as weak or wounded because they were constantly forced, pushed, thrashed, suppressed, oppressed, ostracized, etc., which is unable to admit any cure. They'll say it's stolen or else it was by chance. So even if they surpass all these things, their identity, their appreciation doesn't reach them. It is just being refused. Then the Greeks did not but play the fools and lie. So it's just the defensive actions of men in the English society where they just reject the fact that Greeks respected women to flex it according to their needs and their ideas, yet grant some small acknowledgement of us. This is the only request or the assertion, the command which the poet makes, to acknowledge everyone regardless of any differences as one human race will make your glistering gold but more to shine. So the poet says that please don't suppress our talents because of jealousy or ego. If we come together, if we work together, we can shine together. That's what the poet says here. Let Greeks be Greeks and women what they are. So the poet asks, let everyone express their own selves first. Everyone is unique. Let them go on their own. It's our own duty, sole duty, to accept them regardless of the differences as they are. So to summarize this poem, starting with the introduction, the self-deprecation, the irony which she uses. First she belittles women, then she brings in a lot of references, Bartas, schoolboys, tongue, the poem, Demosthenes, a Greek master, Bartas, a French Protestant poet, and then Spiteful Tongues, where women are constantly disgraced by the society. The Greeks, how the fact is being denied that they respected them. Acknowledgement, the request which or the command which the poet makes strongly, the plea, the consolidation of the request, then concluding the poem. So the call for the society to work mutually together to create a better world. So I think I've added something to the understanding of this poem. Thank you. Kindly do like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next lecture session.